And we're live. Are we on time? Oh, 2 minutes late.
We're
Dang,
slightly late.
I thought I was on time. We're having a products meeting talking about launch of shelves, so stainless shelves. We're talking about the launch of our garage track system, the OG pressure washing solution.
Yeah.
It's not. Don't get too excited. We're talking about launching. Talking about when we're going to talk about launching it, which means
and how we get on the website,
right,
how we get them ordered.
So it's going to be a little while. We're talking about the new AR. I have a new AR in my garage to test out the new 630 to test out and using some videos. We will have a certain allotment coming, so it's going to be pretty limited.
Yeah.
When are those due to launch? Do you know?
I want to say sometime in July. So we're probably going to gap out for about 4 to 6 weeks. So if you're interested in an AR 630, I think we're sold out of the old one. The new one we should have somewhere mid-July-ish.
Got it.
So
it's going to be pretty limited. We think it's going to be somewhere around $1,000 for it.
Yeah, it's a little more expensive, but there's some feature benefit. But it's also got some tariff stuff in it, so just general things going up in price. So
yeah.
Unfortunately,
I'm going to dig into it. I got to make sure it's good. I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be good, but I got to make sure it's good. It looks nice. Waba just brought it and put it in my garage, but I have that, and I also have a new Kranzle, a 230 volt Kranzle that's in there, a prototype. So in my future washing talks. All my cars are dirty again. I'm going to be out there. I got to wash the Amira. I got to wash the GT4 RS. So I'm going to be playing with those in the video. So stay tuned for some sneak peeks of what I think about it. I think there's been some videos on the AR stuff. Some people, I think Josh has one. But you want my take. I'm the guy. So I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you.
And then we have another.
I hope it doesn't suck because I just committed to buy a bunch of them. So
right. We have another new product, old product, but we're not going to talk about that. I think that's gonna light up the internet, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to eat some crow here coming up here. Yeah,
Matty Pie will be coming.
Something to do with the garage. It's a garage product that it may or may not have been the worst video I've ever made, and so I'm gonna have to apologize to both the company and the internet.
That's right. But I think guys will be happy about that. I think that'll be a good one.
Yep. So anyway, that's why we were 2 minutes late, because we were trying to solve the problems. And so what Matt's helping me do is to, instead of me just jamming stuff in the pipeline, hoping to get some stuff out, we're creating some structure and, again, making this transition from company to organization.
That's right.
I'm probably going to hire an ops person in the next few days, probably next week. I have second interviews lined up. I found it really hard to narrow down. I found like 9 amazing candidates. I could have hired any of them. And now I have to narrow it down and figure out which one. I normally look at things glass half full. I'm always looking at people's potential.
Right.
In this case, I'm looking at glass half empty. What do I actually want? What do I need? What does the company need? It's really hard for me to do.
Yeah, being a guy that was an OG follower and then coming in and seeing, the company work from inside, I think folks would be surprised. I would actually say, folks might think you're a little selfish when it comes to the company, but I think a lot of times you're actually solving for others rather than yourself in some ways, and that can be good, right? That's a humbling process and good for the employees, but sometimes you got to solve for yourself too. It's a balance,
Well, what I'm attempting to solve for here is that I know myself and I want to find the right personality that fits with that for them, really. Because if I get the wrong person, I'm going to drive them crazy.
Right.
But I don't know, maybe you can, the perception of me, I think, from the outside is that I'm this nitpicky, like OCD, annoying, like boss type. In fact, I'm probably way more aloof than I should be.
Yeah, you're the opposite.
Yeah.
And you defer. Well, that's what I mean by, selfish, right? I mean, I think in some ways you defer things to other folks, and the reality is it winds you up. And, sometimes just being selfish and, in terms of picking
everybody.
Right. Because then you don't get frustrated. So, the whole goal is that everybody's doing what we need to do and nobody's getting frustrated.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So we are excellent at, we're an excellent $10 to $15 million company. We are a slightly dysfunctional $20 million company.
That's right. Yeah.
We are a can't do 30 million because we're too dysfunctional to go there.
Yeah.
And this is every single one of these people I talk to, whether it's ops or finance, they just smile because they've been through it.
Done it.
It's like every single company I've ever been, you've just explained the exact same. Like,
that's right.
I thought I was the only one.
No.
I thought we were the only place.
No.
And it's an identical process that you
and it
go
happens, you know, I lived in a much bigger world, but, you know, I started in a $2 billion company that went to, you know, $20 billion. And it was this, it's the same thing. You know, at 2 billion, you can't do certain things, and you bring in, you change, and you grow, and, you know, you get to 10 billion, and then you can't do. And so it's every business goes through all these phases and stages.
And you use money, like the revenue, as the kind of the measuring stick to compare, you know, where you're at. But, you know, some of these problems could happen at 2 million if you.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. And so I feel like I've had to think about it differently. You know, I thought about, you know, I always think about everything as right or wrong,
right,
mistake or success. And whereas when you're learning, you know, let's say you had 2 exams and you failed the first one and took the second one, and you figured it out. I mean, would you call that a failure? I mean, you learned the material.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the goal? And so the goal is to learn the material here and
fail fast and early, right? I mean, that's, you know, yeah.
Yep.
Or move fast and break things. I mean, that's the other, you know, famous sort of Silicon Valley line, right?
Yeah. It's pretty cool to see, because I've never interviewed executive level people before, and it's fun because they show up prepared.
Yeah.
Like they ask questions.
Right.
They're not like a deer in headlights. They're not nervous, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
And we're just having a conversation, and they, you know, the common theme is, man, you seem like the same person that you're on camera.
Right.
You have to watch a bunch of videos, and there's no, because a lot of them have dealt with especially the resumes I'm looking at, they've dealt with a famous,
you know,
or public facing founder,
right?
And they're different in a meeting than they are in public.
It is kind of interesting. I mean, when you go for most interviews, you can't do what you can with OG, which is watch 100 hours of video,
right? They can pre-interview me.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it would be great every job interview you go until you get 50 hours of the guy you're going to sit down with.
That's totally
that's way different.
The one guy found our video of me on Black Friday live streaming the warehouse. I think he searched a channel for warehouse. That's cool. So he was able to
he was nitpicking the warehouse process.
Yeah. So he already knew the POSCO, and did some research, and it was pretty cool. That's my number one candidate, by the way. But maybe because he
was prepared.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's interviewing and hiring is such a crapshoot. And anytime you can introduce or get, real information or see skill, I was, when I was running a pretty big marketing group, we had a famous Excel test. I literally would give Excel tests to people before they would come in, because they'd come in and they weren't. So we just started testing them, and it was a simple test, but you sat and watched them. And you can tell just by watching someone if they know how to use it or not, right? So that was actually our number one criteria for success.
But I mean, you'd probably put some value if people were authentic and say, look, I know how to do this, but I don't know how to do that.
Well, that was the thing. Actually one of my best hires failed the Excel test right in front of me.
Yeah.
He was so flustered because the macro tool or something that he used wasn't there, but I watched him go through all the menu. I could see his thought process.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's anytime you can demonstrate it, or someone brings that demonstration, to me, that's a much higher
or somebody's a winner.
Success.
They want to win, and they're losing, and you watch them lose, and
That's
see how they lose, and yeah.
All right. So Spencer asked what our most viewed video on the channel is. And then I think Kevin got it right. The E92 M3 video, that should be.
Well, we're cheating because we had actually leveraged that video. Same thing with Build a Garage in 10 minutes. We leveraged that in order to, advertise, right? So it would get some inorganic views in that we would push that video. So spend money to push that video to say, hey, here's who we are.
Yep.
And so when we were doing the LZ project, we were also promoting the channel to try to get the double whammy effect.
Right.
And we went from 350 to 650,000 subscribers in that period,
Right.
partly because of the engagement from LZ, and then partly because we were using that video and the Build the Garage in 10-minute video to find more audience.
Yeah.
And our goal is not for the subscriber. The goal is for the person to figure out who we are and what we do, and then they go to the website, and then from a business perspective, I can justify, it, rather than just being a vanity number. Though there is some benefit. We've talked about this before. There would be a benefit. When I call a brand and I want to be a dealer, it's easier when you say you have 500,000 people than 100,000 people.
Yep.
They perk up a little bit. And same thing will happen when we get to 1 million someday. But because of that spending, our channel, the subscriber growth then stagnates.
Right.
So that was a byproduct we learned. When you stop spending the money,
yeah, you stop adding.
I guess, yeah. So we used to add 2,000 to 3,000 a month. Now we add 5. For a while we were losing, say, 1,000.
Right.
There was an attrition from probably some of the people that came in that really didn't belong.
Yeah.
But what we were targeting people who were into BMWs, and you want a BMW video.
Right.
We weren't targeting grandma. We're targeting people that have a interest that should be here. And I'll probably do more of that in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some people that would just have more money they know what to do with, and they'll just try to chase clout.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're working on some new media content, right? And some new ways to get what we do out and make it interesting in a different way. So, I mean, that's
for me the only reason
soon.
to spend money if there's a business case to have
Right.
a return, return on your
return
investment.
on investment. Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. Matt, can you talk a little bit about garage door sealing solutions, both for air sealing and HVAC performance, but also for bugs and unwanted visitors? This is Mark's question.
I mean, I like a good old-fashioned drywall sealing. Despite the fact that it's it's kind of flawed, right? And that if you're doing too much water, if it's too low and you're getting it wet, you can end up with peeling and stuff like that. So I think for most people you do like gypsum purple board or green board.
Sorry, just to clarify, this is garage door sealing, not the ceiling. Like, how do you seal around the garage door?
Garage ceiling.
No.
Okay,
Sealing,
well, I can give you some
S-E-A-L. Sorry to confuse you.
Oh, yeah. I don't really think about that very much. I mean, I'm always
Matt leaves his door open a lot. Your door's open for a Florida guy. Your door's open quite a bit.
especially in the winter. Not right now. Now I'm always managing to keep the door closed, but in the wintertime, I love to have the door open. Just something about hanging out in the garage with the door open is like my favorite thing.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think I'm sure there's probably some better solutions. I mean, I've looked at I think hinges matter.
Yeah.
So there's that one guy on Amazon who sells a bunch. It's called Green Up. Or Green
but those
something.
Hinges that pull the door close to the seal, right?
Yeah. And so there's better seal or better hinges that will help. And then of course sealing up via buying either an insulated door or doing the Dorsalate solution.
I actually think the insulation is probably more important than the seal, right?
I think so too. Yeah. Well, because the bottom, I mean, I'm washing my car and the water runs out underneath it. And I just don't think that you're going to lose so much more through the door panel than you would from the rubber surround.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do is if you have a commercial door, I always put the brushes in.
Mm-hmm. That makes a big difference.
Huge, yeah. I could see if you can see daylight through your roll-up door, it's probably not good.
Right.
That door we got back there looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It is insulated, right?
Yeah.
It's got hollow.
It's starts with a J. Is it Jandy? Forget the brand.
Just so you guys know, we put the roll-up door went in the curated space. So now we can start to. And when pallet racking came today, so
I haven't even gone to look at it yet.
We're going to start setting up pallet racks and getting curated into their space so that we can
then start the next area. I think I owe everybody an updated tour. We've had a pretty remarkable change, and offices are getting painted and carpet tiles going in, and so obviously the entry's done. So I think we should do an updated tour.
Yeah, one of the things we got to work on. We had an OG visitor, and I'm sorry I can't remember his name. Stopped by, and he was looking. He did a nice tour, and he's like, "Hey, can I buy a shirt?" And I'm like, "Okay," and let's but we don't really have a display, so I think we got to get some closet. Like a nice closet display up, get some shirts going, some merch.
Yeah.
and we'll do that up. So we got to get that going as well.
Always looking for an excuse to improve something, and
That's
then if
right.
I can have it be a demonstration, one for video and second for people,
Yeah,
it's always a good.
I think it'd be a great way to show the the new closet
Mm-hmm.
process. Let's see here. Will you do a to-go toolkit with the essentials that would live in the car?
It's on our docket. We were actually one of the things we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about in our products meeting was tools, and having and creating a process or creating a calendared structure of how we're going to yank out of my brain different tool sets and variants. So that is on the longer list. It's been on my list since the beginning to have like a backpack. You have the track kit, or you have and lots of companies do this, but I never want it. It's always wrong.
Right.
It just doesn't feel right. I will always prefer to just buy something off the shelf if it's great. But I mean, I don't know. There's just this attraction, and if I don't have the attraction, then it's not going to work. Then that means it must not be very good. So yes, that's on the list. We just green lighted making like a household essentials Sonic kit.
Right.
And then, also this is why I need an ops person. I mean, I launched all the new tool packages and none of those companies have any of it in stock.
Right.
So we got to get somebody on the phone busting balls to get this frickin' done. So we sold 20,000, 50,000 worth of tools, and then now not one of the companies has any of it in stock. Zero. Right. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
But this happens often where I break
Right.
the supply chain.
well, especially because you're usually pulling something that's sort of obscure for them,
Correct.
right? That you're going to make mainstream, and
Right.
so their run rates don't justify having it there.
Correct,
Until we
yeah.
change them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And then it's there's follow up required that we don't have the capacity to do.
Right.
And so I'm looking to create that capacity.
Yeah. I think the other bit is getting ahead of it on the product side to let them know we're going to light the match,
Right.
right? Because that's the
Yeah.
other bit is we're not very great at
Yeah.
being proactive with suppliers to light the match. So
Sales and marketing talking to media and them
That's right.
talking to to purchasing
Yeah.
and operations and the warehouse
that's
and
right.
and then the website people and have
Yeah.
everybody on the same page.
So that's why we're working on, I call it, business operating system. We're basically scheduling or calendaring all of our activities and prioritizing so that we
Mhm.
can get everybody on the same page, right?
Right, and then ultimately all those things bolt together in the longer term strategic plan.
Right. Yep. Okay. Spencer has got a detailed question. All right, Matt, I have your used lift, a used America, and so on. What's the game plan with Sonic foam inlay tools? I can pawn you $100 for connecting me with a used set. So Spencer's looking for more used
Yeah, I don't have
Sonic.
I sold my set and I had to buy it back. So yeah, no, I don't have one.
All right, let's see here. John, help us out. Says 16-ounce fragrance refill. Support says it's back ordered. Do you have any feedback on that one? Okay. 2 to 3 weeks for the scents and a month for the bags, you said? Okay. Right. Yeah, so you can still reserve your spot and get in for the giveaway, and then when it comes in, we'll get it shipping to you, right?
Yeah, the goal would be to never have a reserve your spot, or
Right.
only as the last resort. It's become a first resort for us. So yeah, if you put your order in, and then it's like the millisecond we get it, we ship it out.
Right. All right. So we got a detailing question from T Self. Matt, in what instances would I use OG Decon wash versus Carb Pro Reset?
So reset to me is a regular maintenance wash, and so the way that I do it, I use Decon soap if I'm gonna polish the car.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm gonna do the decontamination process. I use reset probably every fourth wash, and then the normal routine wash GSF is how I think about it. So decon soap for deconning. So you don't need as much.
Right.
You probably don't need a gallon. You just buy a 32 ounce, unless you do a lot. If you have a lot of cars, then you want a gallon. But
Right.
if you're doing 2 cars, you probably buy it in a liter at a time, 32 ounce at a time. Because a 32 ounce will probably get you 4, 5, 6, depending on how much of a soap user you are.
Right.
I'm probably using about 300 milliliters, so I'm only going to get like 3 cars out of my decon bucket or my decon 1 liter. But if you really only need about 100, so you could do 100 in the bucket, 100 in the foam cannon, so 200, so 5 decons. I mean, for most people, that's going to last them several years.
Yeah, that's
right?
a lot.
Right. So have a liter of decon, and then do a gallon, and do the 5 liters of reset and GSF.
Right.
So you're GSFing to me in a month. Week 1 gets reset, then week 2, 3, 4 gets GSF, and then week 1 of the next month gets reset. But it's just, I don't know, I just feel it whenever I'm feeling it.
Right.
Sometimes it's because I'll have reset in the bottle and I don't have GSF in the bottle, and I don't want to fill up the foam cannon.
Okay.
So, but I like both soaps. I prefer GSF, but that's how I think about it.
All right. Let's see. What is the golf cart to get again, and when is it coming?
So my neighbors right next door to me showed up. They're in. He's got 1 more year in Germany.
The people you hadn't seen before.
Yeah. They're not flipping their house.
Okay.
They're fired up. They're doing all the rock and fixing their landscaping.
Yeah.
He's like, look, I work a desk job. He's out there doing it all himself.
There you go.
And so I started trying to bribe him, schmooze him a little bit. I said, hey, if you like some rental income, I would love to rent your garage.
Right.
So I would love to rent his spa. So I've been working that angle on that. I got in big trouble yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got not big trouble, but I got some lady.
The neighborhood Karens are after you.
I screwed up, and I knew you gotta have to know better when you have cars like mine, right? That everybody's watching your every move.
And you're the GT4 RS is pretty loud.
It sounds like you're going 100 miles an hour when you're idling down the street. And so it was raining yesterday, and we met this lady that comes to the gym. They come every year from Iceland, and so we met her, and her son loves cars, and they don't have a ton of cars in Iceland.
Right.
A GT3 probably costs $1 million in Iceland,
right.
Or at least double. And so, but he loves cars, and he's like, I don't know, he's like 11 or 12 or something like that. And so he came and I said, come to the house. Don't come to HQ because there's nothing here.
Right.
There's just a 1 car here. So come to the house. So I came to the house, and I toured him around and sit in the car. And so then I'm like, we'll jump in and just go around the block. And so to make it make noise, I'm probably going 38 miles an hour down my street.
Right.
And so then I went out and back. That's where I messed up, is I did an out and back.
Yeah, so you got them twice.
Right. And so I get out of the car, and I see this lady flying down in her golf cart. I should have said, and you're sort of speeding on that golf cart there.
Right. 22 miles an hour maximum speed limit on the golf cart.
I'm concerned about my kids here. But anyway, I said, look, I apologize. I know I do not do that.
Yeah.
This little kid here is from Iceland, and I got a little carried away, showing him what the car sounded like. She looked like she was ready for a fight.
Right.
So she looked a little disappointed, Michelle said, because I didn't even see. I just went black, and I just started, apologized to her because I was wrong.
Right.
I knew I was wrong. But what's the freaking big deal? It's raining. No one's outside. I've got brakes that are freaking 20 inches in diameter. I can stop.
Right.
And I'm going 30 something, not 70. So anyway.
Okay. So you sidetracked. So the golf cart.
So anyway,
there must be something about the neighbor in the golf cart. The
golf cart, if my neighbor lets me rent his garage, then I would theoretically have space to get the golf cart. Jeff from the rag company got one.
Did he?
He said,
"What's the name of the cart again?"
It's a mammoth cart, mammoth cart, but it's called Goat.
Goat
is the brand.
Yeah.
When I was there, they had 40 of them.
Right.
They have 2.
You sold them all out.
I don't know if I did, but the thing is blowing up. It's a pretty, you said it's a pretty generic.
Because of being in the villages and actually going down the golf
rabbit
cart
hole.
rabbit hole.
Mhm.
There's Chinese manufacturers. They literally will set them up here and they'll put your brand on them. If you want to become a distributor of a Chinese golf cart, you can do that.
Right.
And I think those guys do a good job of configuring them and bringing them in. And
They added all the
put some
things that
brand on
everybody
it.
would want to try to do in the aftermarket,
Right.
and they're selling it to you in a package.
That's right.
And independent suspension, which I like, and
Yeah.
all because all the main great, like Club Car, Easy Go, you have an Easy Go, they're all solid leaf spring rear, isn't it? How is the rear suspension?
Leaf spring rear.
Yeah.
Mine's independent front suspension.
Right.
The Yamahas are actually all fully independent suspension.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but those are gas. So it just depends on what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want anything.
I know. They all suck. That's the reality of golf carts to me, is they all suck.
It's junk. Yeah.
My neighbor and I, we were trying to figure out how to get Wolverines and run Wolverines out there. But the problem is they got a locked rear axle, so that's kind of challenging.
And then you're
ripping everything up.
Yeah, you're making your turn. It's like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just that's too much. Let's see here. Matt, as Ryan looks more and more like an adult by the day, does he have his eyes set on a first car?
I was just talking about the other day. I said, you probably get the Raptor. He's like, it's too big. I don't want that. I want something small. I said, I will get you a Corolla then. He's like, what's that? He
doesn't even know what a Corolla is.
He'll probably care to some extent, but at this point, he doesn't really care. But I could see like a Corolla GR would probably be like a GR hatch would kind of be a cool car.
That's way too fast for a 16-year-old man.
You think?
Yeah.
I mean, everything's fast now. What are you going to get? What are you going to get? A Toyota 86? Or?
I think, an 86 would be good, or one of those Corolla hatchbacks is pretty cool. I think they look pretty cool for a kid. I'm thinking something slow, because they're going to crash it. GTI, Mark 7 GTI would be a good one. TDI. John wants a TDI.
That way you have the torque off the line, but no top end speed.
Those are a little fast, but
no, I think he'll be fine. I mean, the kid, even when he was like a baby, the little walker cart,
right?
Like he never hit the baseboards, never hit the walls. Like just the kid
so
just has
really.
When he was 3 years old, I bought him an ATV for a 16-year-old. He just can steer,
right?
And can brake. Just has a really great spatial awareness.
Yeah.
So I think, and we're gonna take him. We'll take him to
Kate's
the firm.
the one we got to watch out for.
Yeah. Kate will be bumper car and stuff. Yeah.
So
yep.
She'll be hell on wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Matt, any updates with Thor? I saw back and forth with comments from your last live stream.
I don't know. I said that if they want to come on the podcast, let's do it. But they disappeared. So,
all right.
Yep,
Nothing
updates
there. Let's see.
I don't think I'm not going to pull any punches. So I mean, it probably wouldn't be smart for them to come on here. So, it probably wouldn't go as planned.
Be careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah. So
it says, Joey asked, Matt, have you tried Griot's foaming surface wash as a weekly pre-wash? It's been my go-to for personal vehicles. Seems to be much gentler than touchless on well-maintained vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, I gotten that when it first came out, and Adam and I just used it the other day, and I've used it probably a dozen times. It seems pretty reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with touchless with me is that I know Griot's has done some research, but nowhere near the research that Pete has done.
Right.
Pete is just it's like a different human,
Yeah.
He's on a different level of.
He's the Michael Jordan of soap.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. Yeah. And now I don't know, and I don't mind the experience of either, but
right.
I feel this is something that no one will tell you, and there's not really much empirical evidence, or there's not like, it's not super easy to measure without the right equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the experience of touchless. Now, you don't have to use touchless at 2%. In fact, he recommends using it at 0.5%.
Mm-hmm.
I use it at 2%. Just, it's like that. What's the maximum?
Right.
So, and I don't have any problems with any of my cars. And so I'm going with the tested, he went on this whole diatribe of testing with aluminums and the different type of aluminum samples. And I didn't even know that I would have never even considered doing that.
Right. But
bare aluminums. That way he's tested all kinds of, the guy is the guy. You know, I'm just if there's one thing I'm good at in this world, it's finding the product and the guy.
Yeah.
It's just what I'm born to do, and I can't define it for you. I can't quantify it for you. I just freaking know. This is what gets me in trouble with brands. Like the Thor guys are like, you need to try the product. I'm like, I don't need to try the product. I just know. And then people are like, oh, you don't know, because you don't know what I know. Like I can't explain it to you. There's a reason why I'm, have the $20 million business, because I freaking have something that I'm cursed and blessed with.
Well, they don't see all the work. I mean, the number of things that you try and the number of, activities that you go down.
But even the not trying, it's the trying that makes me not have to try.
That's
as much.
My point.
Right.
You've bought 20 things before that all have a pattern, and you're recognizing a pattern that the 21st thing you're like, I've already seen that pattern before. I don't want to deal with that.
I think that's well said. It's like the Fibonacci sequence, or there's a I don't know how I don't know how to explain it. And I know that people who don't like me are like, oh, that's a grift. You don't know what you're talking about. If I could transplant you into my brain, you would might have at least a decent idea, because I can't articulate it. And so that's my argument with those guys at Thor, is that they don't have that, but they're pretending they do. And I can see it from a frickin' mile away.
Right.
And so I can't come up with a new glass cleaner in 3 weeks.
Right.
And that's me. And I have it. Right. And they don't. And they're coming out with a glass cleaner in 3 weeks, and I'm not. And then everybody loves them and hates me. Mm-hmm. And it's nonsense. You can love them all you want, but it's a bunch of nonsense. Yeah. And I can see it from a mile. I've seen it 50 times.
Right.
That's my argument. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Okay. Well,
so come on the podcast, and that's why I wouldn't come on the podcast if I were them, because we're gonna find that out.
All right, so some of the guys are giving me crap about Excel, so that's my age speaking. Excel, if you're a guy like me, we have AI now, which is going to replace the world, right? Excel kind of replaced the world ages ago when it, caused people to stop writing numbers down on paper. So,
well, what's the gap? I mean, it's Excel then AI. There wasn't anything between.
True. Yeah, I mean, there's some database stuff and that kind of thing. So. But
I mean, what would be in between that?
I don't know. Sheets, Google Sheets,
which is just a different version of Excel. Right. But it's a copy and paste.
Anyways,
Excel.
I was only using Excel as an example of a skill. Mm-hmm. But let's see here. What's the status of Leader Max? Tried to buy it direct, and they said you were the main man in the U.S.
They're doing German to English translation, so they're doing that, and then they're trying to supply. We have an order in. And so, or at least a projection in. I don't think they're ready to receive the order yet.
Right. Yeah.
So they don't have it. They're
a pretty small company, right? And
correct.
It's going to take them a little while to get ready.
So I'm ready. We're ready to turn it on. Usually I'm the one who's not ready.
This is a constant battle with Matt inside of OG. Is Matt's ready? We promote something and we don't always have it. So
yeah, but that's important. I mean.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's a common thing, because we got to go chase it.
Yeah,
right?
Because I feel like if you hold back, then I'm leading with the money, right?
Sure.
And then I don't have the right mental framework in place, and then I can't really be objective. And I've done this many times where, like, well, let's go get the product, and then I find I don't even like it. So I have a tendency to let's build the case. For me, I'm building my own case, and then by proxy, you get to live vicariously through that. That's the secret sauce, and it means oftentimes, look at I keep seeing the Liquid Elements cordless polisher. People are buying them, and I don't even have them.
Right.
But the only reason anybody's buying them is because of me.
Right.
But that's part of the.
We don't have a finely crafted marketing message. That's the authenticity of OG, right? So,
that is the marketing message, right? And so what I'm hoping to build is operational excellence, where the team is like just ready to grab and go, right?
Yeah. We want to be able to go faster and
right. So the organization goes as fast as I'm going,
right?
And then we are on to something really big, and that's what we're going to create.
And I think we can get there.
Yeah.
Scott asks, is Chemex coming to the store?
I haven't really thought about it. I don't think so. I probably should try some stuff. Bob's stuff is made for a different customer. We're kind of serving two different things here.
Yeah, it is.
But I'm sure that we'll do some collaboration on some stuff in the future. Maybe some different pressure washing systems or parts.
Yeah, I mean, there might be. I mean, you don't live this world, but like the crossover that I could see is using some of his stuff on like RVs or things that sit outside that are not as garageable. Yep.
And a lot of people do that to me often. It's like, well, you need to come up with a boat solution, or you need to come up with an RV solution. It's like
you don't have them.
I don't have them. Right. And so, yes, and this is part of the difficulty of running a business is there's endless, if you're successful, you'll have endless opportunity,
right?
Which can be worse than no opportunity almost, or little opportunity. So when you have too many opportunities, you could end up chasing your tail.
Right.
In fact, I've gone out, I've been using the Lewis and Clark analogy where I'm Lewis and I left Clark behind,
right.
4 states behind, and I got to come back down the mountain to go find Clark because he's still surveying the land, and I'm already naming California for gosh sakes.
Right. It says, Matt, I'm a pilot and need a power bank. I'm looking at using a Milwaukee top-off and M18 Forge 12.0. Do you have any other recommendations? Using only the latest Apple products on the road.
Yeah, I'm not a very good candidate for that kind of stuff. One, because I don't travel a lot, and two, because generally speaking, I've got everything managed. My battery's managed, where they're all topped off. And if I am flying, it's not long enough for any of my batteries to go bad, and I'll use the brick on the plane. So yeah, I mean, I'm not the right guy to ask that because. Now, my 30,000 foot view of that is that there really isn't anything great. It's all a bunch of Chinese junk.
That's probable to explode, right? Like that's
always and so there's
always a challenge with large lithium-ion batteries.
It's kind of like spray bottles, It's like that industry doesn't believe that guys like us would pay for something great,
right?
And so no one's ever gone down that rabbit hole, at least not that I know of, to create something great and charge $400 for it because that's what it needed to be.
Yeah, we just need Apple to do it, right? Like if Apple did it, it would be great. Let's see. Fu asks, hey, Matt, are you selling the home again? I don't think so, right? No, nothing's for sale.
Nope.
David asks, will there be an Amira shirt for the giveaway?
I don't know. So we have those Amira shirts. What was we're running out of time here.
Yeah.
I don't know if, I think we'd gotten them and there was a bad print or something, so I don't know that we're going to go with it.
I don't know the story behind those. Do you know? Did you hear?
Yeah.
Still potentially en route. So maybe.
Yeah, not looking good. We have 3 weeks left.
Right. Grant asks, I'm currently evaluating a financial advisor who charges a 1% AUM fee for both management and financial planning. Do you think that's a fair rate?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I charge most people.
I think unless you got a ton of money and can get a discount, right?
Yeah. I think once you go over $1 million, it's probably $2 million now, because we double assets since I left. Everybody's money's doubled.
Money's worth half as much.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the beginning, the guy, if he's good, he's going to do quite a bit of work to kind of figure it out and organize it. But from there, I mean, I pay my guy 1%. I know what to do.
Yeah.
You're too cheap. You do it on your own. You fired your guy, right?
I fired my guy.
Yeah. But you enjoy doing it. I don't.
Yeah. It's...
And so are you going, is that guy going to make you 1% more than you would had you just gone and indexed it? Probably not. Unless he talks you out of a couple of bad decisions.
Unless you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Right. Or you want to set and forget. I mean, that's the way I look. Like my mom, I have my guy with my mom. I still have her with him.
Yeah.
She set and forget. So
I'm a set and forget, which is wild because I spent half my life.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if the guy doesn't have a CFP, he's either stupid or lazy, both of which are bad. So you got to have a minimum of a CFP.
Right.
The financial plan is so simple. It's such a simple thing.
And you always want to make sure they're a fiduciary, right? I mean,
yeah. So if they're charging a fee, then they wouldn't be giving you ticket charges or charging you commissions or anything like that. And so by proxy, you're going to operate as fiduciary. I would want my guy to have discretion as well, so he can make trades without having to call me.
Right.
And then you want to look at their strategy. And I think if a guy's using a firm model, he's probably not very sharp. So I think you want them to explain and articulate their strategy and philosophy in a way that you can understand it, not that you want to do it.
Yeah.
Like if I explain to you how to paint correct and PPF and Paul, do the whole process on a car, I got to be able to explain it to where you can understand it.
Yeah.
Where I'm selling my skill.
Dave Ramsey actually has a good approach to this, which is if you have a financial advisor, they should be teaching you along with managing your money. So it should be an educational process the whole way through.
He should, and it should sound intelligent to you. It shouldn't sound salesy to you.
Right.
And so you want to find somebody with a background in accounting or computer science or engineering or you don't want a salesman, and that's 95% of them are salesmen. And so you want to find that diamond in the rough. The more letters behind their name, like if you could find a CFP, CFA, that's like a freaking unicorn.
Right.
Because then that person knows accounting. He understands how to read a balance sheet. I also don't think you want your guy picking stocks for you.
Right.
Because he's too busy all day talking to people. So he can't be.
Well, if he was good at picking stocks, he wouldn't be managing money, right?
Right.
He'd be working for a
And
fund.
the ones that propose that they can are usually goofs.
Right.
And you can usually tell, So you're looking for a nerd.
Yeah.
You're looking for a nerd in a world of type A salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking for a nerd that can explain to you what they're doing.
Right.
That's what I think you want. So you want me, but I don't do it anymore. So you're out of luck.
Okay. Who's Altoon says, curious, have you ever considered the W204 C63 as a project? I have a 507 edition and it's a really glorious car.
Yeah, I mean, I've considered it, quite a few times. But
I was trying to get you to do a black series,
crappy
and do a
MCT,
manual swap.
crappy MCT, and then a crappy rear end.
Got to do a manual swap, black series, right?
Maybe someday. I do love the way those cars sound.
I think. That's supposed to be an amazing switch. There's a company up in Tennessee that does that. And I think we talked about it.
Yeah,
they use all Mercedes parts except for like one part. I think the clutch or the.
My next project is a Model S. So we're finishing up the Evo.
That's right.
Just made the choice to put the stock wheels on it.
Do you have a price? Have you put a price on the
100
Evo
grand.
Yet? 100 grand. Okay.
100 grand.
And how many miles are on it?
5,600.
Okay. So it's worn out.
Yeah, it's junk. Yeah, but it's set up OE plus. It's got an FE Green turbo on it. We're going to go have it OE tuned, with the factory ECU and for 93 octane. It's got a Muellerized, so like a custom valve springed Öhlins road and track kit we just put on it. It's gonna be frickin' sweet.
Yeah.
And I'd probably be better off taking all the parts off, selling it stock. But this is the way you want it, so I'll find somebody to buy it. Yeah.
Okay. Normal shock. Wide open in first gear, then 2 runs and a second victory lap. So he's talking about your GT3 experience.
Yeah.
VJ says, I know Matt does not like customer service call line, but maybe a separate line for those who buy a $36,000 or so cabinet and have question support while installing for such install projects.
Well, that's easy. You just call the design team. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're having trouble, call your designer and we'll get some help for you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's an easy one.
Yep.
So the design guys talk on the phone all day, all the time.
That's right. And if they don't have an answer, we'll get Mike on the phone and we'll help you out.
Yeah, but you got to go through, go through design or go through support and then say, I just bought 40 grand worth of stuff. I need some help.
Right. Yeah, we'll help you.
What we don't want is John Smith, who wants to talk to Matt all day, calling in on the phone. This is where YouTube becomes problematic because we have such a wide audience. It doesn't work very well.
Right.
And so that's where Zen
Do you still get random people calling your cell phone? You were for a while there. Like your number got out somehow, right?
Well, you can Google search my number
Right.
because it's on Sunbiz, and so it shows up. And then, but yeah, I rarely do these days. I think we've done a good job of training the audience. And my message says, "Hey, look, don't you gotta go through the queue." And part of the other reason for that is we're selling such complex stuff that you're gonna get some gal on the phone and she's not gonna know squat.
Right.
We need to manage the 4 guys that have that information in the universe. We need to manage the queue for them. Right. And if they're on the phone all day, there's too much pleasantry and formality. It's just not going to work. But something like that, I mean, piece of cake. We'll get you on the phone with Randy from frickin' Rousseau if we need to.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Neil, I jumped down a little bit. Neil says give Ryan the Evo. So that's always an option.
Yeah,
the beater to the kid.
He doesn't like it.
Hand me down.
Yeah.
That's Dad's car. He doesn't want that.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Jim Jones. Anyone know if the Lotus is really owned by a Chinese company? Yeah, I think they're owned by Geely, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Geely.
Yeah.
But they're still built in Hethel in the UK.
Yep. And I bet you if they weren't owned by that, they wouldn't be able to make the Amira.
No,
right?
it's yeah. Let's see here. Has Matt seen the white 300-mile 991.1 GT3 RS on BAT?
Yeah, somebody sent me an email of it. Yeah, I saw
Did you bid?
No
bidding.
No.
You got enough cars over there.
I do. Yeah, I need to divest.
Gavin asks, is Jess car worth buying if you already have a fast correcting cream? I'm looking.
I don't think so. I mean, I've been contemplating dropping it because I never use it.
Right. You love the Griot stuff, right?
Yeah, Billy's got me totally from presidential. Got me totally converted.
Yeah.
I mean, I pulled out Jace Price's last cut the other day. I pulled out, Cut Max. I just the Griot's just doing better.
Right.
I find that I can use that on almost anything.
I think you were telling when we were working on LZ's car. I think you were saying that they constantly are refining that.
Well, when I was there visiting them, they were messing with it. I'm like, don't fricking mess it up. They had like a bunch of different control samples. I'm like, what are you guys doing? I said, well, we're seeing if we can. We came up with an idea. We think we can come up with something a little better. I'm like, don't do it.
Right.
Make it a different product. Don't mess it up.
So Ty's asking about home pest control chemical. I know we've answered this a number of times, but maybe give him your...
Yeah, what's it called? It's like bimethrin or something like that. It's it's by something bimetrin. It's a what's it called? Shoot, I've forgotten the name. What's the name brand? It'll come to me.
It'll come back. So let's go on to the next one. That'll help jiggle your memory.
Yeah.
Have you talked to Cree to see why they want to discontinue the CR6Ts? Any chance on getting them to reverse course?
I'm working on alternatives because they don't freaking know which end is up, man.
Cree's been a challenge.
I may or may not have a text right this moment about something special that's on the way.
Oh, there you go. All right.
I'm trying to solve the garage solution. So in a perfect world, what I have are linear fixtures that are forward phase dimming. So no 0 to 10 volt.
Right.
So you could use Caseta in your house.
Yep.
You don't need 0 to 10 volt. You don't need PAL packs.
Right.
And so, I mean, that would cut $1,000 of cost out of the garage. I'm also looking at the potential. I mean, could we make a light? Is there potential for the lights to be, I don't want them to be $400 or whatever the heck they are.
Yeah.
I'm fine with them being $400, but I can't get them.
And we want them to be in stock.
I can't get them.
Oh, that's the hardest
I've been
part.
beating my head against the wall since the beginning.
We've got tens of thousands of dollars of potential business we've lost due to that.
Yeah. I would say $1 million easily.
Yeah.
$1 million.
Yeah.
You're talking about cancel.
I'm just talking about recently.
Yeah, canceled orders, right.
Yeah.
People who paid the money and canceled the order because it takes too freaking long. I think they're worth the wait unless I can find something that's as good
there's
or
no
better.
issue with the product. It's just getting them.
Right. Yeah.
So, says, let's see here. What's the latest on the new closet system and company? That section of the OG site has not been updated.
Yeah. So we're talking about using the same inch and an eighth, right? We want the same we want the substantialness of the closet, right? So my house is done. The process was pretty great, the installation process. We can continue to improve on it. And we have one of our friends, Baloo, who has the same model home I have, is offered to be the guinea pig.
Yep.
So he's going to pay our cost for it, but we won't make any money, and we'll go and install it and use that. We'll use that his house as a case study. The idea behind closets that I pitched Jared. So Jared would be the manufacturer. So we have Mark out in Kansas City. We have Jared here in Ocala.
Yep.
So Mark theoretically would be the creator and the shipper and the national for the DIY installation. Jared would be for our local villages business and assuming that Jared's going to do it all, and assuming it blows up to where we can't produce enough of it. And so what I wanted Jared to do, and so we did this. So Jared and Mark, we've been working on this for a little while to get my closets figured out. We use me as a guinea pig. Is take the material, just the material, add it up. How much did it cost? And then I'm going to go to the manufacturer and say, hey, look, we're going to blow up this material. So I want it way less. In fact, you should probably sell it to me at a slight loss. We'll see what I can do there, right? So I want Edgar to hook me up with the product because this is a marketing thing. We're going to talk about, we're going to make everybody want this, right? And then I said to Jared, I need you to start the stopwatch on your guys. Just start the stopwatch. Click. When they go to take a dump, stop it. When they go to have a snack, stop it. When they start up, give me we need the exact time, and then we need to have an assumption that we're going to have some sort of improvement in speed as we learn and improve the efficiency, right? And so then we get a number, and so then Jared gets a margin, and so then his margin has to pay for his machines and his software. Just like me, when I buy built hammer touchless and I have a $10,000 camera I'm shooting it on, I don't charge the customer for the camera. It's in my margin, right? It's in my profitability. So and then we're going to publish that, and so we'll say here's what it costs. Here's the material. Customer's going to know. Here's the material. Jared is charging 25% markup. That's what he's making for his profitability, for his time and labor, and he has to make his business operate and be profitable. Now, he can only do that because this is not his only business, right? Because he'll just be filling machine time, and so then we're going to add on top of that our margin, which will be 30%, and that's for the design and the delivery and the sales process and the people to pack it and ship it and all that kind of stuff. And I'm gonna freaking get a billboard in the villages and say cost plus closets, right? And I'm gonna negotiate the lowest cost possible, because if we were to sell these things at the traditional model, my house would have been $38,000.
Right.
If we do it in my model, my house would be about 18. Uninstalled, right? And then depending on installation, right? So then say you got, 2 guys, 4 days of installation, you got another couple of grand, $2,500, $3,500 in installation. That's also assuming if I did a cost plus on my labor, right? And so I want to do something different in closets, because the frustrating part of closets is I would go through the whole design process with a company, and then I'd sit down and they'd sit you down and they slide the thing over the table, and it's $38,000. Or $42,000 for 3/4 inch press board garbage.
Right.
And so what I'm talking about is better product, better price, where you and I might be able to convince you to buy it. That's my target, because you aren't buying it for 38 grand.
No, it's not worth it.
You're just right. I'm not buying it for 38 grand either. Now there are some people that are. They must really value it, or they have
no idea what they're doing.
Correct. They just assume that this is what it costs.
Right?
But I don't like that. That model is freaking nonsense. So that's what we're going to create. And so I have the manufacturer set up.
Yeah.
We're going to get Baloo's figured out.
Yeah.
Right now it's like number 7 on our list of 300 things. So it's way high up the list.
Yep.
We need that closets for the design studio here. We need them, or we can't do this.
The local business is going to rely on closets.
Right. And so we're doing it, and then I want to be able to ship them nationally, because there's nothing else like it. No one else does it.
That's right.
You could probably go to a cabinet guy and say, hey, can you get me this material, and have him make it. But it's going to cost you a bunch of money.
Right.
And so I want to try to make it not cost a bunch of money. It's not going to be free. It's not going to be cheap. and we're going to be very transparent with here's what it costs and here's the margin.
Right. So Kip came through with the poll on Telstar.
Telstar, thank you. Yeah,
Right.
Telstar. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Which Telstar is a brand of
Right.
Biffin IT.
Biffinrin?
Yeah.
So
Which is a nuclear attack on your house.
there's questions about the Model S. Are you ready to talk about what the Model S is going to be?
Yeah, I think I'm going to buy the new one. The new refresh.
Right.
AI5 is there are talks of AI5 versus the AI4 computer. I don't want to. I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to get it when I'm ready. And so the Model S comes when the Evo goes. Amira goes.
Yeah.
Evo goes.
Yep.
I'm not allowed to buy it until then. That's the promise that I gave
Right.
to myself.
Because it's really easy to buy it. You just go online and buy it.
But
right?
I can't handle it. We just cleaned out my parts closet, right? And so I had a closet filled with parts. The Raptors, I'm going to tell them about the Raptor here. The Raptor's dialed.
Is there going to be a video coming out on the Raptor?
Yep. Just like a full maintenance, video on the Raptor. It looks so much. I should have done it a long time ago because now I like the Raptor lifted. Looks great.
Right.
Before it just looked kind of slouchy and not good.
Right.
So I was looking for a 2024 or late model 2023, 2024, 2025 used, because those cars drop $35,000 right off the lot.
Yep.
And then I start looking at them, and the ones I want are more like $20,000 off. And then I start thinking, well, shoot, then you could just buy like a,
and those aren't the refresh models, because those are.
Right. So the refresh is the 2025, 2026.
Right. So, but you still
launched.
can't get the refresh, which means that the other ones are going to get cheaper in fall.
So the other problem with a Tesla is it's harder to find one from an enthusiast.
Right.
Where they didn't just jack it all up, run through the car wash.
And your last set of Tesla stuff was all in Model 3. So this will be a different model.
Correct.
Right?
And so what I'm thinking is I would much rather, despite the fact I'm going to lose $20,000-$30,000 on the car,
right?
It'd be worth it to me because it's going to bring in a lot of new customers.
Right.
So I'm going to do refresh Model S white.
Yeah.
And then
black inside, I think you said.
Black inside with the normal non-yoke wheel. And super simple.
Yeah.
And then that'll be my
OG beater license plate going on.
I'm going to transfer the OG beater over to that.
I like that.
And then I'm going to hope that the full self-driving helps get me back on the road.
All right. So let's see here. Dan asks, what light bulb temp do you use for outdoor house lights? 3.5K like you use indoor?
Yeah, I do 3,500.
I think you want a little less, not bluish out there, right? You want it to be more warm, right?
Yep. I mean, you could go to 4K, but I do 3,500. That way it matches inside and out.
Mm-hmm.
If you have like a more rustic home, I might, like if it's a lot of like woods and earth tones, then you might go to 3K.
Yeah.
But, the 2,700 to 3K is a nice upgrade.
Keyboard, do you have any cabinet recommendations for the garage that are more storage and not automotive? I'm thinking lev rack, right?
Yeah, I mean, lev rack is a super useful tool for storing, helmets.
It's space efficient. It's super space efficient because you can, in an 8-foot space, you could put 4 36-inch shelves, right?
Correct.
It's super space efficient.
And you can kind of customize however you need.
Plus, you get the space on top.
But for storage, if you were going to do cabinets, I think you want taller drawers. So you want, Kyle loves these 3 drawers. I hate the 3 drawers. But if it's like 5 drawer, so like 6-inch 5 drawer. So if you did Rousseau, you did Sonic, you just do a bunch of drawers. Because drawers are much more efficient than just shelves.
Right.
Because then you can stack them differently. And so I would do a bunch of 5-drawer cabinets and then do a bunch of uppers and closets. I mean, another thing to do, like you said, lev rack is less expensive and more efficient if you're going to do just a bunch of wall of closets. Because you get an extra closet for every 8 feet.
Right.
Because of the accordionness, accordion style of it. And so, I mean, I think that's
the nice thing too is the way you use a lev rack, because you can kind of leave it open. There's no doors out. If you got it in a space where it's next to a car, it's really
and they do a 30-inch
nice.
version, so 30, 36, 48, depending on how much depth you have.
Mm-hmm.
mean, Levrek's expensive to ship, but it's still a lot less dollar per square foot of storage over like buying, like, say, MSS Plus cabinets. A lot less money.
Right. Let's see. Grant asks, in your opinion, what's the best way to shop around for car insurance or find the right coverage at a good value?
Oh, yeah, you're talking to the wrong guy. Yeah, I just pay whatever it takes,
I hate insurance.
I have my State Farm guy that I've had for 20 years. I know I'm paying more, and I don't care.
Right.
I did have Chubb for a long time.
That's expensive.
Yeah, and but that was back when my cars, or I was out kicking my coverage on my cars.
Right.
I didn't have enough money to self-insure.
Right.
So now what I'm looking for is the highest deductible allowable. Right.
Yeah.
And because I'm not going to make a claim unless it's a big claim.
Yep, that's right.
Especially on my home, like I think I have a $50,000 deductible.
Yeah, because the minute you do a home claim, they drop you the next year.
Right,
so
you're screwed. And so you only want to make a claim if your freaking roof explodes.
Yeah, the house burns down.
Right. But you want to look at, and it's probably not a good advice, because I think that State Farm's a real ball buster in paying out.
Right.
But you want a good track record of a company that will pay out if you ever needed to. The one claim I've ever made was when my GT3 RS got eaten by mice, and it was Chubb, and they just wrote a $19,000 check and didn't bat an eye.
Yeah.
I was with them for like 2 months at a $19,000 claim.
Yeah.
But Chubb was stated value insurance, right? So I was stating the value.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I should do with my cars is I should shop around where
But you really should go to collector car.
Right.
So, I mean, I have 2 policies. The regular cars are on a, regular cheapy insurance. Yeah. And the collector cars, I mean, I was using Leland, and then I went to Grundy when I came here to Florida. It's probably a third the cost of what it would cost.
The other thing that's nice for me is that Sandra at Gary Meredith's office knows us. I just email her.
Yeah.
She just gets it
done.
Is
added on. Yeah, taking it on.
I'm adding and subtracting. Yeah. Every month I've got at least one add or subtract.
Right.
And so I don't know what I pay per year in car insurance and 10 grand.
You don't want to know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You don't want to know. Zach, thanks for the super chat. Been out for a while, not keeping up with the podcast. He's asking about the pressure washer cabinet.
The pressure washing solution we just talked about. 2 weeks from now, we're gonna have a meeting, and we're gonna figure out what our plan is.
Yeah, get it going.
Right.
It's basically done. We have some complications.
Right.
Non-product complications.
Right.
And so we're working through that. And
the hardest part is, now that we have it done, how are we going to build it?
Right.
Because we don't really have the people to build it.
How it's configured and all of that.
Correct.
Yep.
But we're going to get it done.
Yep. Fu asks, hey, Matt, can the new JTR speakers you showed last week fit in the wall?
I mean, you'd have to do something custom, but they're technically designed to be on wall. These are the JTR Kalos. They're incredible, like just incredible. I think it's going to change the whole world. They're so freaking good.
You love those things.
Oh my gosh, I love them so much.
Don't call it a sound bar. I got lashed at.
The sound bars are for losers. Yeah. No, it's again, there's no bracket or anything to put it in the wall, so you'd have to custom make something.
Right.
So you would put it on the wall, not in the wall. They do have an in-wall solution, but it's not very elegant.
Okay. Let's see here. Keyboard.
If you're doing in-walls, you want Perlisten.
Right.
For sure. Hit me up, and I'll tell you what Perlistens to get, because their in-walls are incredible.
Keyboard again. I'm a recording engineer and have a finance question.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be beneficial for me to run my business under my name, or create a fictitious business name and route my expenses and my pay there? I think you're kind of off on that question.
Yeah, I mean,
it's more about legal structure than it is the name.
Right. Well, we're talking name from name to me matters marketing, not business, right? So the name would be, like, I didn't want to call it Matt Mormon's Garage, because what happens if Matt Mormon wants to go away someday, So that's why, one of the reasons I call it Obsessed Garage. Right. Yeah. But then again, Adams Polishes still exist, and Adams not even there.
Adams gone.
The naming would be from a marketing perspective, and you can name it something different than what your LLC or your corporation is behind it. Yes, you always want to incorporate if you have the choice.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as you usually can do it yourself and go to the state's corporate website. In Florida, it's sunbiz.com. So you create an EIN number, a tax ID number, right? And then you have to call it something to get that created. And then you have to create a bank account with that EIN number and register, the bank account with that tax ID number. And then you would pass through, do all of your expenses through that. And then if it's really simple, you're a sole practitioner LLC, single member LLC, you would very simply just pass through the income to your personal tax return. And then you would talk to an accountant to decide, are you gonna call this a sole proprietorship? You're gonna call it a subchapter S corp? Probably S corp in most cases. But the structure of it is different from the name of it.
That's right. Yeah. Let's see here.
But it costs like $300 to set it up, and you could potentially save.
It's lots.
Don't know how much money you're paying in tax.
If you got a lot of revenue coming in on that side gig, you definitely can save a lot of money.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so what the person to go talk to if you don't want to learn all of this is just go find a tax.
Go get a CPA.
An accountant.
You need a CPA.
Right.
Let's see. Kip asks, I don't think Matt is a red deviated stitching kind of guy, but any plans to offer a glove box touch-up kit in red or any other such stitch options than blue?
I think it would be cool. I think it's been pretty successful.
Yeah.
And maybe a yellow and a red, for people who have those to kind of match their interiors.
Silver maybe for the silver stitch.
Yeah. So I think that is in the we did blue because that's our color, but and then in future batches, I don't see why not.
I think that's been in just our internal team. That's the most exciting product from the internal team is that glove box solutions.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see here. It says Mopar 478 is asking, what is the best whole home water system?
If you're doing like a national brand, and I think it's Connecticut, you're going to pay about $5,000
just
for
expensive
the Connecticut Pro system. They bury the half of it in the ground. It's a metered system. What you want is a metered system, not a timed system. You'll use a whole lot less salt. Whatever you do, don't do a potassium chloride system like I did, because potassium chloride costs $50 a bag.
Ouch.
Sodium chloride costs $10 or $8 a bag. So actually, Chris from Service Plumbing, I need to text Chris. I'm supposed to get some affiliate links. We're doing a new system.
Are you?
I had my water tested.
You're upgrading the water at the house?
Yeah. So we're going to pull out that janky base system that I have, which is functional.
What are you going to replace it with?
It's a two-stage. One is obviously the softening, the softener,
water
but
softener.
it'll be a metered system. So it meters how much water you're using.
Yeah.
So it'll be a sodium chloride metered softening system. And then I believe we have I don't know if it's a carbon filter in front of it.
Right.
But we have we're doing a two-stage system from US Water, I think. But it's a custom design system that Chris has set up for me.
But basically that means that the water out of the tap in every faucet.
You just drink it from that faucet.
You don't need filtered from there, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, I'll still drink my Mountain Valley because it has like the appropriate minerals and all that stuff, but no one else drinks that. I'm glad because I'd be broke. I'm glad no one else likes it. They think the water coming out of the
it
fridge
tastes better out of the fridge.
What they don't know is that I've taken the filter out of the fridge and it's just flowing straight through. Idiots.
Yeah. Let's see here.
I'm like, why don't you just get it out of the sink? It's way faster. Oh, that water doesn't taste the same. I said, okay. All right.
Compliments on the fragrance bag, so that's good. Let's see. Hello from Stuttgart. My question is, what is up with the double foam cannon mount kit for wand holder? I ordered and paid back in February, still waiting.
Aren't those due to ship?
Good news is we were packing those this week.
Okay.
And we're planning to ship those next week. So sorry, it's taken us a lot longer than what we anticipated.
Yeah.
But yes, we're ready to go. I know some folks are getting questions about Mosmatic versus the OE version. And so if you, how are we doing that, John? On email? Is that what we're doing? So check your email if you have one on order. Just make sure if we have a question for you, if you'll take a substitution. I think most folks have said yes, and that's not a big deal, but we can certainly ship it if we do. So
what the question is, if you'd ordered a Mosmatic, we're going to carry, because I only carry one, The Obsessed Engineering or the Obsessed Garage version is replacing that for us. And so we had some outstanding Mossmatic orders. Our custom installed pressure washer package said Mossmatic. So we're asking people, hey, we can get you a Mossmatic, but I would suggest that you do.
Alex asked, if you had a choice between high pile towel or low pile towel, which one do you like personal besides polishing?
I'm always going to choose the lowest pile that works.
Right.
A high pile oftentimes pushes stuff around, you know, and so I get the perception of softness, but under a microscope, that perception is not reality. And so the lower the pile, the better in most instances, until you get down to about 300. But, you know, sub 300, then they tend to get kind of thin and dainty and not so great. But yeah, I always want to use low pile for pretty much any aspect, with the exception of rinseless or rinseless washing, where I want a little bit more to. But then again, once you soak it down, the fibers kind of matte anyway. Yeah. So.
Grant asks, do you think the extra cost of a certified pre-owned car is worth it, or mostly peace of mind and marketing? I'd say, like, if you're buying a Porsche or something maybe pretty expensive, there's a value there.
I think it depends on where you're at in life.
True.
I don't give a crap now.
Right.
I'm just going to fix it. If the motor blows up, I'll buy a new motor. You know, I don't want to, but I would just buy a new motor. The way when I was financing a car and I was new and young and didn't have $80,000 to buy a new motor, then I would want that.
The way I look at it, though, I mean, in some cases, especially if you're dealing with a brand like Porsche, for instance, not every car can meet that criteria. So it's a filter.
Vetting,
it's a filter. Right. So there is some benefit from that perspective. But yeah, I mean.
But that filter doesn't have anything to do with your jacked up paint. No. It has to do with mechanically, right? So, you know, if I had a beautifully maintained exterior and interior, that has nothing to do with CPO, right? And so they can't have like a dent or like a paint peeling or something like that with CPO. But the CPO is more mechanically, and I feel like I can replace anything mechanically. Repainting is much more invasive to me than changing out a spring on the suspension.
That's true.
So if you're stretching, if you're kicking above your coverage here, I would want it to be CPO'd if I knew that I couldn't afford to replace the oil pan, and I didn't have $5,000 to replace the broken widget.
Yeah. Self-insurance, right? I mean, it's essentially what you're.
But warranties, to me, I'm telling you, warranties at a certain point. I don't want the warranty because I don't want to take it to the dealer.
They're more trouble than they're worth.
Yeah, it's like you got a warranty on your epoxy floor. Well, what's the fix?
Yep.
The fix is, what are they going to do? Come and sand your whole floor down and ruin your whole property with dust and redo it? Because you can't put it on top of it. I mean, what's that warranty going to do for you? It doesn't make any. Yeah, I don't like warranties.
So Matt,
I am the warranty.
Matt from New Zealand is asking if he's looking at buying a Kranzle, can he use a standard hose and gun for a while till he can afford a good one?
Yeah. I mean, the hoses that come with it are bulky and heavy. But yeah, I mean, the gun's going to be a little difficult because it's like 40 inches long.
Right.
But you could, I did in the beginning. I put I put some quick disconnects on it. I put the, so I could use it in like semi-short gun. Yeah, I mean, you could do it. I did it for many, many years before short gun even exists.
You'll get a much better appreciation for the OG setup once you do that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'd rather have it with the stock setup than not.
Do you find in your business to have a satellite location on the West Coast, or is the effort of shipping not worth it, or to set up?
100% we need to. Yeah. I mean, it's 100% in the plan.
Yeah.
We can unlock.
I think we could double our returning sales, meaning customers returning to us to buy, if we had shorter shipping times in the West Coast.
We want to be in like Phoenix or Tucson or something.
We don't want to be in California.
Right.
Yep. Nevada or Arizona, probably.
So I think that the goal, so the business plan path here is become operationally excellent.
Yep.
Bolt on wholesale.
Yep.
Right. bolt on the villages, local, brick and mortar retail,
Right.
delivery and installation, which will help us develop products at a scale and speed I could have never imagined. So I had thought about building a detailing company way back in, because then I could test products, and I realized I don't really need that. But for the garage, it would add a scale and speed of product development and our own products and exclusivity and the ability to move fast.
Right.
If we can be operationally excellent. That's why operational excellence is first.
Yep.
And so wholesale, local brick and mortar retail, chase margin. If we have exclusive contracts, we can improve our profitability, so I could assume and eat the shipping cost.
Right.
Go to a free shipping model, which would coincide with a West Coast, East Coast operation,
Yeah.
which would also mean we would probably need to move shipping East Coast out of Florida.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to move
Got to
to
get more
Kansas City.
centralized.
Yeah,
like
we need to move to
Tennessee or
Nashville
Georgia
or something
somewhere.
like that. Yeah, correct. So that's not in the cards for me at the moment,
Right.
but that's something that is certainly on the docket for us.
Yep.
And that's required me to ratchet back my international plan, because it's not like we've dominated North America and tapped out on the North American opportunity. It just frustrates me when people are buying Mosmatic parts in Germany when they should be buying it from me,
Right.
because they learned about it from me. And so I'm just going to have to give that up.
Yeah. You just got a little overly focused on that, unfortunately.
Well, that's my Lewis and Clark. I went out and surveyed the land and kind of looked out and realized I don't have my surveyor with me. And so let me go back and find them. And I realized, you know what, guys? I went out and saw what's ahead. Let's turn left instead of right.
We're going to go a different direction.
Yeah.
That trail's not a lot of fun.
Instead of the opposite, where I was beating myself up saying I ruined my life and screwed everything up and I'm terrible. And that's how I normally think. But that's what keeps me humble.
That's right. So Mike's asking you to post a GT4 RS video, but there really aren't any yet, right?
No, we have one.
Oh, do you?
Yep. We did the introduction, just
an
introduction.
intro video.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. Well, that's
so that
coming, Mike.
should be out in the next week or so.
All right.
Yeah, the introduction, and then I'm going to start. So we'll do our cabinets. So we're starting Rousseau next week. We're going to do our cabinets, and then I'm going to do the full, our GT4 RS series.
All right. Addison, hey, Matt, I'm 20. How much money did you have saved in your account, and how much would you have in your wallet? Also, can I get makeup out of my Alcantara headliner? Well, those are two opposite questions.
When I was 20, I had $0. So when I was 20, I was making like 100. I owed 70 because I'm 20. I'm a sophomore,
right?
Junior. I'm a junior in college, right? Between sophomore and junior year. No, yeah, I'm a sophomore in college. So actually, I had $0 because I didn't have my job.
Right. You weren't really employed then, right?
Right. I didn't start until my late in my 20. So later that year.
Yeah.
And so I made $0. I had $100, maybe. I didn't have a credit card yet. I didn't have a cell phone yet. Could you imagine that? These young guys, right? So I had no cell phone. I had no bills, no recurring bills. I was borrowing money at Villanova. I would go back home and work for like the post office or the electrical contractor, make $150 during October break. That was the money that I had. Yeah. Because every dollar I made went to pay off my car. So I was working 80 hours a week. I worked at my clubhouse. I was the janitor, and then I went and cart pushed. I was only making $5.15 an hour. Yeah. And so I every dollar I made just went right to my parents to pay off the car, and I paid it off like the week I went to college. So I went to college with maybe $300, and I didn't work at college because my food and everything was paid for. And so I'd have somewhere between $150 and $300 a semester. I borrowed money to buy my books, borrowed money to pay my room and board, borrowed money for tuition, and my parents paid $6,000 a year. I borrowed the rest through FAFSA and Pell, all that crap. And so I owed $78,000 or $79,000 when I graduated, but I got in a job when I was 20 at Sound Advice, made $50 like that first year. I spent every penny. Every penny. So I probably had somewhere between $3,000 and $8,000 in my checking account.
But you were saving for parts, or you were saving.
I was just buying cars. Yeah, just buying parts. So that's when I got my Civic SI.
The message is all your dollars should be in cars, right? That's the way
hindsight. hindsight, I mean, if we were smart, you would have kept them all, made them all nice,
Right,
collected them, and you would have made,
But you had to
that
sell
boom.
the
You had to sell one
to
to
get the next one.
Oh, for sure. I had to sell the parts. The first car, I didn't sell the parts, which is a huge mistake.
Just don't go down the credit card route.
No.
That's
So
the
I
one
used
advice. Don't
my
go down the
credit card
route.
to pay because you have to use a credit card.
Right.
And my buddy, he would use my credit card and pay me because he didn't have a credit card, so he couldn't buy any car parts ever.
Right.
Or no, he had a Discover card. I'm like, you idiot. No one takes
Discover.
So he had
It's like Diners Club.
And this is my buddy who, has tons of money, and he didn't have a credit card. He was the last to get a credit card, last to get a cell phone.
Right.
And he would use my credit card and then give me the money. And so I didn't have any credit card points back then.
No.
So I would use my card, but I would probably have a $6,000 credit card bill, and I'd have $8,000 in the bank.
Right.
And I would just pay that.
Pay it off.
But then I would use the credit card to like leverage, but I never made any. I don't know that I've ever made a credit card interest payment in my life.
That's pretty good. I'm
trying to think.
That's saying something if that's true.
I may have when Michelle first stayed home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know that I ever paid any credit card.
Those guys will eat you alive. That's the honest truth. So stay away from that. And then how can you get makeup out of an Alcantara headliner?
You can rip it out and do it.
Replace the headliner.
Yeah,
ouch.
Not good. You're gonna try a steamer, so next Alcantara cleaner, and then try sanding it afterwards.
Isn't it waxy? I mean, could you put like a moist towel in an iron and try to draw the wax out of it?
Probably not. You're just going to push it and melt it in there, I would think.
Maybe, yeah. Let's see here. Hi, Matt. Is Color Lock still the best leather cleaner?
Yeah, I mean, it's the best available. I mean, I think that the Leader Max stuff is better, but you can't get it. So, I mean, in the current environment, you want Color Lock, strong cleaner. It's a great leather cleaner.
Yeah. Landon's recommending Northern Utah. For the West Coast hub. I'm not sure. Curtis would like that.
If we're going to do it, we should probably do some place cool that I'd want to go to,
it could
make it worthwhile.
Could be fun. Yep.
Make a Destination OG house there. That was my plan with Canada.
Yeah, right.
I wanted to do it in Calgary. That way I could have, my Heartland ranch. Then I realized, warehousing is not really what I love doing. It's, it's something we have to do. It's the, I think I'd love warehousing more if I had more money.
Yeah.
If I just had infinite money, then I'd love to like overspend on a warehouse too, like I do on everything else.
Yeah, then you could have exactly.
all the latest tech, but that's where I want to get to.
Let's see. Grant's asking, what's the one thing most people overlook when it comes to detailing that really makes the difference in the long run?
I think it's spending the time on jams and trim. Opening up every single time you touch the car, every single time you wash the car. Just never. I never once would skip the jam unless I'm making a video and I forget, and I always go back and fix it. So the trunk jams, the door jams, the rubber around the window, taking the towel and wiping the edge of the window, the little triangle in the front.
I'm always doing it just because I don't like the drip afterward.
Right. Yeah, you're chasing drips, right? Trying to blow it out, and then going and putting an extra layer of protection in the jams, and just always doing that, and doing it every single time. That's the detail that I think even detail-oriented people tend to not do.
Golf 007 says you should consider changing the grease in your Milwaukee polisher.
Yeah, I just haven't gotten it done. Yeah. With the LE, he's pretty freaking good.
So what's on the agenda for this weekend? Do you have some projects lined up?
I'm tired, man.
You've been on it.
I'm tired.
But
I want to do
Raptor back to back.
Oh yeah, I didn't finish telling the Raptor. So the Raptor, we did oil change, transmission fluid change, diff oil change, and then we did the Deaver transition.
Right.
Painted the calipers. Mike changed the rear pads. The rear pads were toast, so we needed to replace the rear pads. So we retouched up the calipers, new wheels and tires, new TPMS, and then the Deavers. So that car has a BDI lift. I got enamored. It looked really cool in the parking lot, at the local dealer. And Michelle's Raptor had gotten left on the side of the road, the Gen 1, and so it had 125,000 miles. I'm like, I'm done. And so what I should have done is went and bought a new Raptor stock for her. But this one it had the Amp Research steps on it already.
Yeah.
It had goofy wheels and tires, but that was an easy fix.
That's easy. And
it had a BDI lift. And the thing looked freaking awesome. I'm like, well, let's try a lifted Raptor. And so it's been fine. It's been great. But I put the Volk wheels on it, which are anodized, which don't deal well with getting washed every 4 months. Right.
Yeah.
And so I nuked.
They didn't like Florida sun.
I nuked the wheels. If you're going to do those anodized black, you got to take care of them like crazy. And so I nuked the finish on them. And I was kind of waiting for these tires to wear out. And so I bought some methods with some new tires, so new fresh tires. And I did all the general maintenance as well. And then putting the Deaver springs. So the BDI is a 4-inch lift. There's a lift block, and it's a different spring, right? And so in the rear, I started to get some sag because the stock springs, they tend to sag over time anyway, and the lift made it even more pronounced, right? And so I called ADD Off-Road, and I think it's Addictive Desert Design. So I called ADD and I said, no, I called RPG. I called RPG and I said, hey guys, this is what I have. I want to do Devers. A Devers is a new leaf spring. And so the stock leaf springs are 3 section and the Devers is 8. So it's a more stout spring. And so we did the Devers, Devers +2, which is stock. I was pretty certain it was going to work, but I was afraid it was going to be
jacked up,
3 inches lifted in the rear. And so it was probably 1.5 inches low in the rear. Now it's roughly 3/4 to 1 inch high. So with a little bit of rake, it's freaking perfect. It's funny. Kate noticed we took the spare tire out. The Deaver springs weigh 100 pounds a piece. The stock springs probably weigh like 30. So I gained a bunch of weight, but I removed the spare because the spare won't work anyway because it's 35 and has 37s.
Right.
Took the jack, which the jack wouldn't reach the frame anyway, all that crap out of it. And Kate noticed, she's like, she couldn't see the diff before because it was sagging and the spare, right? And so Kate's like, there's just something wrong with the truck. I can see all these wires, talking about all the brake lines on the diff, on the axle. And so now I feel good about the Raptor. The Raptor has 88,000 miles. Yeah. So we're good till things start breaking on it.
And it's about 5,000 miles the turbo's going to go on it, and then you can buy a new one.
No, I think that 3.5 is pretty stout. Especially Michelle doesn't get above 2,200 RPMs.
That's probably true.
She's just putting around in it. So now it looks great. It looks OG spec. I'm going to wash it this weekend. So I do want to wash the Raptor.
Right.
I want to wash it with the new Kranzle. I need to start washing with the Kranzle and the AR to play with those.
Because you just did coatings and paint.
I just did a whole correction protection. So it's good. So this weekend I want to do that. I need to wash the Bronco.
Yeah, it's dirty.
Yeah, I want to wash the Bronco. I want to get the GT3 interior put back together because I got all the leather parts. Yep. Yeah. Those aftermarket gauges, I got to tear them out. They're terrible. They look beautiful. It looks cool, but I did when the brake, all the indicators are real fuzzy looking. It's just not. Yeah. It's not.
So you're gonna go stock?
Yes, the stock black with the gray center.
Gray, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I got to do that, and so but I'm gonna put everything except for the center column. But what I want to do is get that done. Get the GT3 over to Joe's house.
Right.
Because everything's going to be sitting outside for a couple weeks here when we're tearing apart the garage.
That's right.
And so I want to wash the GT3, put the stuff in. I'm probably not going to get any of this done, by the way. But, Ryan has football games I'm going to be going to. Yeah. So I'm freaking tired.
You got to be a dad
I'm
first.
I'm just tired, man. Because I've been interviewing COOs, CFOs. So I have at least 2 or 3 interviews tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I got 3 more tonight.
Right.
I'm tired, but we're going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do something.
Yeah. Well.
I might do none of that and I also want to make the Finance 101 episode 4. Right. So this is my curse is that I have this overwhelming need to do all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Need to do it. Need. I want to wash the Amira. I want to make a flyby video of the Amira,
Mhm.
down in the new roads that are
Yep.
the new neighborhood. I'm going to go down there and make a video.
By your neighbor that just came to visit you.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So a couple more questions. Would you like to detail a motorcycle?
No.
Panigale or MV Agusta? No.
No.
Not a motor. You're a 4-wheel guy, not a 2-wheel guy. Raptor revamp going to be on YouTube? Yes, right. We did some videos.
Crappy video, but it'll be
Yeah.
just me with the camera.
More
just,
vlog style.
Yeah,
vlog
just
style.
capturing the clips of what we're doing. Yep.
And then recommendation to go to Reno. Reno's probably not bad because you can go to Tahoe from Reno pretty easy. So that's.
I just hate the desert, man. The desert wears me out. But chances are we'll be at a stage where I don't have anything to do with any of
Unfortunately, it's all desert out there, Matt, unless you go really north.
this. Right, exactly. I know.
So, and you don't want to be in
from Phoenix
Oregon,
all
you
the
don't
way.
want to be in Washington, you don't want to be in California.
Right.
From a doing business standpoint. So
Salt Lake's even worse because it's high desert. You know.
Yeah.
I don't. That's why I think down in Arizona somewhere, at least is at sea level.
Low desert's nicer in the winter for sure.
I think so. Yeah.
That's
Well, high desert's a double whammy for me because you got the elevation feel
Yeah.
and beating up your body with elevation plus the desert.
Yeah.
You know, when you're a Florida boy, I'm telling you, man.
It's
If you
hot is hot there.
in like 5 years, when you go back, if you go to the desert, you're gonna be hurting.
Oh.
Like you're just dying. And then as soon as you walk off the plane, you feel that plume of water.
I always laugh, here that for the folks online, I'm from California, so I grew up in the desert. And you come here and they say, "Oh, it's 110 heat index." And you go outside and it's hot. It's it's uncomfortable. You're going to sweat, but you aren't going to die.
No.
When you have 110 or 115 in the desert, it sucks all the water out of you and you're going to die.
Yeah.
You're just literally going to
Not
die.
here. You're getting water put in you.
Right.
Right.
It's uncomfortable, but you're not going to die.
Yeah.
So the heat
I
index
agree.
thing, I think, is a load.
Yeah. No, it's 95, and you're gonna start sweating immediately.
Yeah.
I have like a base layer of sweat on me today because I was moving cars around.
Yeah.
And I got oil all over the driveway for my oil change. The freaking filter, like I must have. I don't know. Oil must have eaten through the bag or something. So it's dripping all the way down. So I'm brake cleaning the driveway. I'm sweating. And then I went to Ryan's game. So I have like a base layer of Florida sweat that you just kind of deal with.
The Florida funk.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. Manny brought up, you mean Manny or where? Help me out, John. Okay, 1 week left for destination booking.
That's the only one. Must be the last one left in history.
July 10th through 16th.
Right.
I see it.
That's a great week.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to do that. $5,000 all in.
Right.
I pay for probably net like $2,000 out of that deal between all my expenses.
So we got most of the Milwaukee stuff's gone. So we sent an email yesterday, 2 days ago, and most of what I've seen is most of the Milwaukee stuff's gone.
And so we have a 50%. We turned the 50% off sale.
But I don't think there's much left.
So.
The cabinet arrays, we sold another cabinet array yesterday, so we have 5 left of the MSS.
Okay.
So those are
35% off.
And if you see, what I will tell people, if you see what you like online but not exactly, I mean, we can work with the garage design. You could combine them potentially, right? So we have to sell them as a set, but at the end of the day, we can help you reconfigure them if you wanted something larger with 2 put together. So we can help you with that. So that's that.
That's a wrap. No rants today. It's clean.
Yeah.
Clean and happy.
We could have gone after something.
A happy day.
Yeah, that's right.
Happy day, rantless. So what we're going to do is, because we're not doing the live stream and Michael doesn't give a crap about cars, we're going to do Matt Rusty, and so next week Rusty will host, or it'll be mainly who's here and who's available.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, because both of them can, they're into the same stuff that I am, and we can kind of carry on a conversation. So. But I do like this. This is Obsessed Garage News, right?
That's right.
It's the news feed.
What's going on this week?
Yeah, everything that's going on. I get to kind of put it all together, keep everybody up to date. Most people watch later anyway, and most of the time we get 4,000 or 5,000 people watching. I'm sure some people listen on different platforms.
I tried. 1 week I tried to put up a Facebook post to get pre-questions there. I didn't
Yeah.
get a whole lot. So,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we'll figure out a better way to do that for the folks that aren't live, but,
Yeah.
you know, maybe get some different questions.
Cool. Yeah, go book that July 10th to the 16th. Somebody's got to snap that up, or else Michelle's going to, maybe we should go there. But somebody snap that week up because November, everything else is booked all the way through November, and then I'm going to sell it.
Right.
So.
And we got a mirror giveaway. The car's looking really good.
Car's insane. It's so good.
Really good.
I can't wait to wash it the first time. That's my favorite. My favorite is the first wash post.
When everything's done.
Done. Yep.
Yeah.
I got the X earring. I need to learn how to pronounce their name. It's X earring. So it's like engineering, but an X. So X zeering or something like that.
Yeah.
So I got the throttle blip. My JB4 should be here soon as well. And then the car's donezo. Tint's done. PPF's done. Correction, coating, all that's done. Wheels are good. Alignment's good. Exhaust is amazing. I'm going to take it to the track in, what is that, 2 weeks from now? 3 weeks from now?
Yeah, June 30th.
Yep.
It's
going to be great.
That'll be fun.
See you guys next week.
All right.
Thanks for watching.